Hello YouTube, Salivate Metal here, and it's okay. The Federal Reserve has everything under control, under supervision and regulation of Aunt Janet Yellen. And the strengthening of the regulation and supervision of the largest financial institutions. There's a series of 8 these large institutions that have a global influence. There's 8 GSIBs, GSIBs that they're called, and they are going to get some capital stress testing that has been implemented since the financial crisis began. And so more regulations from a private entity known as the Federal Reserve, but certainly there's some government role because they're operating under the auspices of the Dodd-Frank Act. And here we see it's Section 165 of the Dodd-Frank Act. So you have the stress testing going on, monitoring banks and assessing the health of capital and money flow within them to prevent these losses. Of course, we're seeing Wells Fargo come to the table. And then also we have Deutsche Bank, which is pretty much floundering at this point and struggling to stay afloat. And then aside from that, we also have this issue about the Fed's independence because of this lady here, Governor Lael Brainerd, who donated to the Clinton campaign and was supposedly able to do that under the Hatch Act. And there's no conflict there, Janet Yellen says during the House Financial Services hearing. This all came to light after Trump made the comment about the Fed being political in the first debate with Hillary Clinton. So there's a lot going on here, and certainly it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But with the Fed being involved and the testimony that Janet Yellen gave, and apparently to be balanced, I think they're easing some of the restrictions on regional and smaller banks. But nonetheless, when you control the system and a lot of the government regulations and requirements and mandates caused the problem in the first place, or at least exacerbated the problem, then doesn't give you much confidence that more regulation is going to solve the problem in the end, especially with what we're seeing with Wells Fargo and with Deutsche Bank. Of course, Deutsche Bank is obviously not from Germany, so Merkel is talking about a bailout to keep them afloat. But we shall see what happens. But nonetheless, it's going to be some interesting times here coming up. And remember, next month is when the renminbi enters a breadbasket of currencies for the IMF as a reserve currency. And I think that's going to prop up the BRICS nations. And who knows where things will go. But I think that's the beginning of a potential shift of influence. And that's another topic for another video. But post your thoughts below on the Fed's actions and what you think about this new political charge against the Federal Reserve. And of course, it's not to say that some Republicans haven't also influenced the Federal Reserve throughout its history. But nonetheless, we live in interesting times, interesting economic times. Some people don't want to see things go south for political reasons. And so they'll do whatever they can, even if it makes for things worse down the road, as we've seen with QE 1 through 3 so far. So I'd like to extend the multitude of gratitude to you all for watching and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.